You're holding a quarter right now that most people would spend without a second thought. And that mistake could cost them a hidden fortune. Some 1973 Washington quarters sitting quietly inside pockets, jars, and forgotten drawers are triggering real collector attention for unbelievable amounts of money. Do not spend this coin. Check your change carefully because almost nobody talks about the silent wealth hiding in plain sight, and the terrifying part is this. The deeper collectors study the 1973 quarter, the more valuable certain surviving examples become. Stay till the end because one tiny detail on this coin could change everything forever. The 1973 Washington quarter is one of those coins people ignore financially every single day, without realizing what they might be holding. What makes this coin so dangerous is how ordinary it looks at first glance. Nothing flashy, nothing gold, no giant mistake jumping off the surface. Just a normal-looking Washington quarter that millions of Americans touched, spent, dropped into vending machines, or left forgotten in old drawers for decades. But collectors see something completely different. They see survival. They see hidden value. And when a truly original 1973 Washington quarter appears with strong natural condition, the atmosphere changes instantly. Auction rooms become tense. Serious buyers go silent. Hearts start racing because this is not fiction. This is real money hiding in plain sight, while most people still have no idea what they own. Back in 1973, America was moving through one of the most stressful economic periods in modern history. Inflation fears were growing stronger. Families were struggling with rising prices. The energy crisis was beginning to shake the country. And the United States Mint was under heavy pressure to keep coin production moving across the nation. Washington quarters were flowing nonstop through banks, stores, gas stations, diners, arcades, and everyday cash registers. But during that period of intense production, certain 1973 quarters quietly developed the reputation that collectors today cannot stop chasing. These coins were never treated like treasures back then. They were treated like spare change. That is exactly why finding one today with original untouched surfaces feels almost impossible. Most surviving examples were scratched, cleaned, bent, worn down, or destroyed through decades of circulation. Survival itself became rare. And when collectors finally hold a genuine 1973 Washington quarter with strong natural detail, the emotional reaction is hard to explain unless you've seen it yourself. The front of the coin carries the iconic portrait of George Washington facing left, designed by John Flanagan. The word Liberty stretches proudly across the top edge, while the date 1973 sits below Washington's neck. Then comes the phrase collectors study constantly. In God we trust. Tiny details around those letters matter more than most people realize. Surface texture, strike sharpness, natural darkness around the lettering, and untouched original toning become obsession points during authentication. Even the smallest marks can completely change collector demand. On the reverse side, the famous eagle spreads its wings above a bundle of arrows surrounded by olive branches. The words United States of America wrap around the top while quarter dollar curves below. To ordinary people, this design looks completely normal, but collectors study every feather, every rim detail, every tiny surface texture because hidden inside this ordinary quarter is a silent treasure most Americans never notice. The physical structure of the 1973 Washington quarter matters enormously in the collector world. This coin was struck using a copper nickel-clad composition layered over a pure copper center after America moved away from silver coinage. It weighs approximately 5.67 grams, measures around 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and has a thickness close to 1.75 millimeters. Even the edge texture becomes important because professionals inspect the copper layer carefully for authenticity and originality. Experienced collectors do not just look at the date, they study how the coin feels, how the surfaces reflect light, and whether the original mint texture survived decades of circulation untouched. One of the biggest reasons this quarter exploded in collector attention is because original condition became incredibly difficult to preserve over time. Think about how quarters are treated. They crash into metal trays, they scrape against keys, they bounce across parking lots and disappear inside couch cushions. So when a 1973 Washington quarter survives with attractive natural surfaces and strong detail, collectors become emotionally attached almost instantly, especially if the coin still carries original toning. And this is where people accidentally destroy life-changing money. They clean the coin, they polish it, they scrub away the darkness thinking they are improving it. That single mistake can destroy the value immediately. Never clean this coin. Not with soap, not with chemicals, not with cloth. Original toning matters because collectors want authenticity, not artificial shine. Those darker silver gray textures and naturally aged surfaces are proof the coin survived honestly through American history. What makes the 1973 quarter emotionally powerful is the mystery surrounding high-quality survivors. Collectors are obsessed with locating examples that still retain natural originality after decades of heavy circulation. Some search through bank rolls for years hoping to find one. Others quietly purchase entire jars of old quarters looking for overlooked treasures. And when authenticated examples appear at auction, bidding becomes intense because supply keeps shrinking while demand continues climbing higher. Many serious collectors refuse to sell once they secure a strong 1973 quarter. They lock them away for years waiting as values continue rising. That behavior creates even more scarcity. Fewer available coins means stronger collector competition, and competition creates explosive prices. Now here is where things become unbelievable. Certain high-quality 1973 Washington quarters with exceptional preservation, strong strike detail, and original untouched surfaces have reached shocking market values. Collectors are willing to spend enormous money for examples that survived naturally without cleaning or damage. Think about that carefully. A simple quarter turning into enough money to completely change someone's future. This is why people call these coins silent fortunes, because they never scream for attention. They hide quietly among ordinary pocket change, while collectors battle privately behind auction doors. Professional grading becomes absolutely critical for a coin like this. Raw coins floating online create enormous risk because counterfeit pieces and altered examples appear constantly. Grading experts examine the strike quality, surface preservation, toning, authenticity, edge structure, and hidden damage under magnification most people never experience. Tiny scratches invisible to the naked eye can affect value dramatically. Even improper storage can reduce collector demand overnight. If you ever believe you found one, do not spend this coin. Protect it immediately. Hold it only by the edges. Store it safely away from moisture and fingerprints. Never assume damage is harmless because small mistakes destroy huge opportunities. There is also something psychological happening in the collector market right now that many people still do not understand. Wealthy collectors are becoming more emotionally attached to historical American coinage because physical assets feel safer. During uncertain economic times, rare Washington quarters connected to important periods in American history attract attention extremely fast. The 1973 quarter sits directly inside that emotional zone where nostalgia, survival, scarcity, and history collide together. Collectors remember the early 1970s. They connect these coins to old America, family memories, changing economic pressure, and disappearing circulation treasures. That emotional connection pushes values higher because buyers are not simply purchasing metal. They are purchasing a surviving artifact from a tense period in American history. And once emotions enter auctions, prices can explode beyond logic. If you're searching for one of these quarters yourself, start by checking the date carefully. Look for 1973, then study the surfaces under strong light. Watch for natural aging instead of artificial shine. Examine the lettering around Liberty and In God We Trust. Inspect the eagle feathers on the reverse side. Pay attention to scratches, RIM damage, and evidence of cleaning. Most people walk past these coins every single day without slowing down. That is the terrifying part. Somewhere right now, somebody is spending a 1973 Washington quarter on coffee, tossing it into a vending machine, or leaving it forgotten inside an old drawer, without realizing collectors are hunting for these coins. Aggressively behind the scenes, hidden fortunes do not always look valuable at first glance. Sometimes they look exactly like ordinary pocket change. And that is exactly what makes the 1973 Washington quarter so dangerous to ignore. Most people would never stop to look twice at a 1980 to D Washington quarter. It feels the common. To ordinary, just another coin rattling around inside cup holders, vending machines, and old kitchen drawers across America. But collectors know something terrifying that average people still completely miss. Certain 1980 to D Washington quarters have become hidden targets in the coin world because surviving original examples are becoming harder and harder to find every single year. And the dangerous part is this: people are still spending them without even checking. The 1980 to D Washington quarter carries a level of collector attention that surprises almost everyone once they understand what happened during that period in American coin history. Back in 1982, the United States was moving through heavy economic pressure. Inflation fears had already damaged families financially for years. Interest rates were painfully high, businesses were struggling, unemployment fears were spreading, and Americans depended heavily on cash for daily survival. Quarters moved nonstop through grocery stores, laundromats, parking meters, gas stations, restaurants, and arcade machines across the country. The Denver Mint was forced to produce massive amounts of circulating coinage quickly, just to keep commerce alive, but heavy production creates problems. Mint dies wear down. Strike quality weakens. Coins enter circulation immediately and begin taking damage almost overnight. Nobody back then imagined that ordinary clad quarters from 1980 to would one day attract serious collector obsession. They were treated like disposable tools. That is exactly why naturally preserved examples today feel almost impossible to locate, and this is where the story becomes dangerous for casual owners. The 1980 to D Washington quarter looks incredibly normal at first glance. On the front side, George Washington face is left with the familiar portrait Americans recognize instantly. The word liberty stretches across the top edge, while In God We Trust appears beside Washington's neck. Below sits the date 1980 to followed by the tiny but extremely important D Mint mark from the Denver Mint. That small letter changes everything for collectors because Denver produce quarters from this era developed strong long-term demand once people realized how difficult attractive survivors would become decades later. Most people never notice tiny details around the lettering or mint mark. Collectors obsess over them, that they study strike sharpness around the date. They examine darkness trapped naturally inside the letters. They inspect whether the original surface texture survives circulation untouched. Even microscopic wear patterns become emotional checkpoints during professional authentication. What looks like an ordinary quarter to the public can feel like hidden treasure to an experienced collector. Turn the coin over and the famous eagle design appears across the reverse side. The eagle spreads its wings proudly above a bundle of arrows framed by olive branches below. United States of America wraps around the top while quarter dollar curves beneath the design. Above the eagle floats the motto E Pluribus Unum. Ordinary people glance at this design for half a second. Collectors can study it for hours. Feather sharpness matters. Rim integrity matters. Surface toning matters. Tiny contact marks near the arrows matter. Even the darkness around protected areas of the eagle can increase emotional appeal because it proves the surfaces were never aggressively cleaned or altered. That detail changes everything. The physical structure of the 1980 to D Washington quarter also becomes extremely important once serious evaluation begins. This coin was struck using a copper-nickel clad composition layered over a pure copper center. It weighs approximately 5.67 grams and measures around 24.3 millimeters in diameter, with a thickness near 1.75 millimeters. Even the reeded edge becomes part of the authentication process because professionals inspect whether the grooves remain natural or show signs of damage, corrosion, or alteration. Experienced collectors often rotate the coin slowly under strong light just to study how the original mint texture interacts with decades of circulation wear. That may sound extreme to outsiders, but when hidden wealth reaches this level, every microscopic detail suddenly matters. Now here is where everyday people accidentally destroy fortunes. Most surviving 1980 to D quarters were damaged badly through circulation long before collectors realized their importance. These coins bounced through vending machines, slammed into arcade cabinets, scraped against keys, rolled through casinos, and disappeared into cash drawers for decades. Many were cleaned harshly by owners trying to make them look newer. Others developed scratches, corrosion, or environmental damage from poor storage conditions. That is exactly why untouched original examples feel so emotionally powerful today. And the biggest mistake people make after finding one is trying to clean it. Never clean this coin, never polish it, never dip it in chemicals, never scrub away dark toning thinking you are improving the appearance. Original surfaces matter more than artificial brightness because collectors want authenticity, not fake shine. Those darker silver gray textures, soft antique surfaces, and natural circulation patterns are proof the coin survived honestly through American history. Once clean, the coin loses its original skin forever. Serious collectors recognize that damage instantly. One reason the 1980 to D Washington quarter creates so much obsession today is because the early 1980s became a forgotten survival period in American coinage, unlike earlier decades where collectors saved large numbers of mint rolls and coin sets. Many 1980 to quarters entered circulation immediately and stayed there. Fewer people preserved them carefully. Millions vanished into damage, wear, and destruction without anyone paying attention. That long-term neglect quietly created scarcity. Today, advanced collectors search aggressively through estate collections, inherited jars of change, old bank rolls, and forgotten storage boxes, hoping to uncover untouched 1980 to D quarters before somebody spends them accidentally. And yes, that still happens constantly. People continue using potentially valuable quarters for coffee, parking meters, and vending machines every single day because they never learned what to look for. Now comes the part that shocks most people completely. Certain 1980 to D Washington quarters with strong original surfaces, attractive natural toning, and professionally verified authenticity have reached surprising collector values at auction. Serious buyers compete aggressively for examples that preserve strong detail and untouched circulation character. Auction rooms become tense because advanced collectors understand how difficult these coins are becoming to replace naturally. Professional grading becomes absolutely critical once a coin reaches this level of collector demand. Experts examine strike quality, surface preservation, edge integrity, toning originality, and evidence of cleaning under magnification most people never experience. Tiny scratches invisible to normal eyes can reduce value dramatically. Artificial toning destroys trust instantly. Even improper storage can weaken collector demand overnight. That is why experienced buyers prefer certified examples. They want certainty. They want authenticity guaranteed. And they want proof that the coin survived decades without modern interference. If you believe you found one, protect it immediately. Hold the coin only by the edges. Store it safely away from moisture, fingerprints, and rough surfaces. Do not wipe it with cloth. Do not attempt home restoration. Small mistakes can erase enormous collector interest in seconds. There is also a deeper emotional reason collectors chase the 1980 to D quarter so aggressively now. It represents survival from one of the most financially stressful periods in modern American history. These quarters moved through the hands of workers, families, travelers, waitresses, mechanics, business owners, and ordinary Americans struggling through difficult economic years. Every worn surface tells part of that story. Every natural mark becomes evidence of real circulation history. Collectors are not just buying metal anymore, they are buying survival. They are buying preserved American history frozen inside an ordinary looking quarter most people still ignore completely. If you are checking your own quarters now, start with the basics. Look carefully for the 1980 to date and the small D mint mark beside it. Then study the surfaces under bright natural light. Watch for original aging instead of harsh artificial shine. Examine the eagle feathers, lettering clarity, rim condition, and edge texture carefully. Most importantly, resist the urge to clean the coin because patience creates wealth in this market, while rushed excitement destroys opportunity. And what comes next after the 1980 to D quarter becomes even more shocking, because the next Washington quarter on this list did not just survive circulation, it survived one of the strangest periods in modern coin production history. And collectors searching for it have become almost obsessive. The rarity climbs again. The demand becomes more aggressive, and one tiny detail on that next quarter has caused people to search through mountains of spare change for years, hoping for a miracle discovery. The 1980 for P Washington quarter is one of those coins most people spend without hesitation. It looks ordinary, feels common, and hides perfectly inside everyday pocket change. But collectors see something very different. They see a quarter from a difficult circulation era where very few original examples survived untouched. And that is exactly why certain 1980 for P quarters quietly attract serious collector attention today. Back in 1984, America was moving through a fast cash economy. Quarters were used constantly in arcades, vending machines, laundromats, parking meters, and stores across the country. The Philadelphia Mint produced massive numbers of quarters marked with the small p mint mark, but almost nobody saved them carefully. Most entered circulation immediately and suffered heavy wear for decades. That long circulation history created today's scarcity problem on the front of the coin. George Washington face is left with liberty across the top and In God We Trust beside the portrait. Below sits the date 1984 along with the small but important P mint mark from Philadelphia. Collectors studied these details closely because strike quality, natural toning, and untouched surfaces matter enormously in the market. The reverse side features the famous eagle with spread wings above arrows and olive branches. To ordinary people it looks like a normal quarter, but collectors inspect feather detail, rim condition, lettering sharpness, and natural surface texture very carefully. Even small differences in preservation can change collector demand completely. The 1980 for P quarter was made with a copper-nickel clad composition over a pure copper core. It weighs around 5.67 grams and measures approximately 24.3 millimeters. The edge texture and natural color around the rim are also important during authentication, because cleaned or altered coins lose collector interest quickly. One major mistake people make is cleaning the coin. Never clean a 1980 for P quarter. Collectors prefer original surfaces with natural gray toning and honest circulation wear. Artificial shine usually destroys value because it removes the coin's authentic history. Serious buyers want originality, not polished metal. Today, strong 1980 for P Washington quarters with attractive natural condition and professional grading can attract impressive collector attention, especially examples that survive decades without harsh damage or cleaning. Many collectors search old jars, estate collections, and forgotten coin rolls hoping to uncover untouched survivors before they disappear forever. If you think you found one, hold it carefully by the edges only and store it safely. Small scratches, fingerprints, or improper cleaning can reduce collector value fast. The 1990 for D Washington quarter is one of the most dangerous hidden coins people still ignore today. Millions of Americans spend this coin every single day without realizing certain surviving examples have become serious collector targets. What makes this quarter terrifying is how normal it looks. No silver shine, no giant error, no dramatic appearance. Just an ordinary looking Washington quarter with a tiny D mint mark that most people never notice. But collectors notice immediately. And once you understand why the 1994 D quarter creates quiet obsession inside the coin market, you will never look at spare change the same way again. Back in 1994, America was deep inside a fast-moving cash economy. Quarters were everywhere. Arcades swallowed them nonstop. Parking meters consumed them daily. Vending machines, laundromats, gas stations, restaurants, and shopping malls pushed millions of quarters through circulation constantly. The Denver Mint was producing huge amounts of coinage just to keep up with demand across the country. But heavy production creates hidden problems. Mint dies weaken, strike quality changes. Coins take damage almost instantly after release. Most 1994 D quarters were scratched, worn down, cleaned, bent, or destroyed through decades of circulation before collectors ever thought about saving them carefully. That is exactly why naturally preserved examples today feel so important to serious buyers. On the front of the coin, George Washington's face is left beneath the word liberty, while the phrase "In God We Trust" appears beside the portrait. Below sits the date 1994, followed by the tiny but extremely important D Mint mark, representing the Denver Mint. That small letter changes everything because collectors track Denver minted quarters separately. When studying rarity, strike quality, and long-term survival, most people never slow down enough to study these details. Collectors do. They inspect the surfaces under strong light looking for original mint texture. They study the lettering carefully. They examine whether the coin still carries natural gray toning instead of harsh artificial shine. Even tiny differences around the mint mark can affect emotional collector demand. Turn the coin over and the famous eagle design appears across the reverse side. The eagle spreads its wings proudly above arrows surrounded by olive branches, while United States of America wraps around the upper rim. Quarter dollar curves below the design while E pluribus unum floats above the eagle's head. To ordinary people, this design feels completely normal. But to advanced collectors, every microscopic detail matters. Feather sharpness matters. Rim integrity matters. Natural surface darkness matters. Original untouched texture matters. This quarter was struck using a copper nickel-clad composition layered over a pure copper center. It weighs approximately 5.67 grams and measures close to 24.3 millimeters in diameter, with a thickness near 1.75 millimeters. Even the reeded edge becomes part of professional authentication, because experts inspect whether the grooves remain natural or show signs of cleaning, corrosion, or damage. And here is where people accidentally destroy valuable coins forever. They clean them. Never clean a 1994 D Washington quarter. Never polish it. Never scrub away the darkness. Never dip it into chemicals trying to create fake shine. Collectors want originality, not brightness. Those darker gray surfaces, antique-looking textures, and natural circulation patterns are proof the coin survived honestly through American history. Once cleaned, the emotional collector connection disappears immediately. That single mistake can collapse value fast. What makes the 1994 D quarter especially powerful today is the emotional survival factor. These coins lived hard lives. They passed through the hands of workers, travelers, business owners, students, waitresses, mechanics, and ordinary families during the 1990s cash economy boom. Most surviving examples today are heavily damaged or artificially cleaned. Truly original coins with strong detail and natural surfaces are becoming harder to replace every year. That shrinking supply is creating stronger collector competition. Advanced collectors now search aggressively through inherited coin jars, estate collections, bank rolls, storage boxes, and forgotten drawers, hoping to discover untouched 1994 D quarters before someone spends them accidentally. And yes, that still happens constantly across America. Now comes the shocking part. Certain 1994 D Washington quarters with exceptional preservation, strong strike quality, original toning, and professional grading have reached collector market values, climbing toward $180,000 in rare high-end conditions. Think about that carefully. A simple quarter becoming life-changing money, while sitting unnoticed inside ordinary spare change. That is why these coins are called silent fortunes. They hide in plain sight. Professional grading becomes absolutely critical once a coin reaches this level of collector demand. Experts inspect strike quality, surface preservation, edge structure, toning originality, scratches, RIM damage, and evidence of cleaning under magnification most people never experience. Tiny flaws invisible to ordinary eyes can affect collector demand dramatically. If you believe you found one, protect it immediately. Hold it carefully by the edges only. Store it safely away from fingerprints, moisture, and rough surfaces. Never wipe it with cloth and never attempt home restoration, because one careless mistake can erase enormous collector interest in seconds. The collector world today is becoming more emotional than ever about surviving American circulation coins. Buyers are no longer chasing only silver and gold. They are chasing history. They want coins that survived real American life naturally without modern interference. That emotional connection is exactly why ordinary-looking quarters like the 1994 D continue attracting stronger auction attention every year. If you enjoy discovering hidden treasure coins like these, make sure you subscribe to Rare Coins Galaxy USA, because the next rare quarter on this channel could be the one sitting inside your own pocket right now. Some of America's greatest hidden fortunes are still hiding quietly inside ordinary change, waiting for somebody smart enough to recognize them before they disappear forever.